Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. Monica, welcome back.
Thank you very much, Steph, and good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to see you again. I will start today with a one-day meeting that is happening right now at the General Assembly as part of our Prosperity Week. I'm sure you have heard about it this week. We have 3 high-level meetings dealing with this issue. The General Assembly is holding a high-level meeting on international cooperation today to combat illicit financial flows and strengthen good practices on assets return. President María Fernanda Espinosa opened the meeting, which is part of the Prosperity Week, a series of events organized by the GA on inclusive development and socio-economic inequality. The meeting is being attended by state ministers, UN agencies, and specialists from civil society, which are participating in interactive panels on ways of effectively tackling this issue. Mrs. Espinosa explains that these contributions will be shared with other high-level meetings this year, such as the High-Level Political Forum and the High-Level Debate on Financing for Development, among others. A report from 2017 estimates of global losses due to corporate profit shifting and tax avoidance range from 150 to 500 billion annually. The PGA stressed that illicit financial flows negatively impact the lives of millions of people around the world. Financial resources are taken from investments in health, education, housing, infrastructure, and in the well-being of peoples, which leads to inequality and poverty. Mrs. Espinosa also mentioned that illicit and illegal activities such as tax evasion, corruption, and other crimes affect economic stability. The PGA said that political will is needed to tackle corruption where it exists and on all levels it does, and that more must be done to tackle illicit financial flows, to recover assets, and to pay them back to where they belong. And this afternoon, the President of the General Assembly will ring the closing bell at the NASDAQ stock market in Times Square, New York. Mrs. Espinosa will be accompanied by several members of her team. The PGA welcomes the cooperation with NASDAQ to promote the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. She is also taking the opportunity to speak about her global campaign, Play It Out, on plastic pollution and single-use plastics. The closing bell ceremony is a live event, which will be webcast at the NASDAQ website. And finally, President Espinosa is chairing the high-level meeting on international cooperation. As we explained, this afternoon she will hold a bilateral meeting with the President of ECOSOC, Ms. Inga Roda-King, and preside over the closing segment of the high-level meeting at the GA. And this is actually all from us, but before I go to your questions, I have to say hello to Gary Reynaldo. He is from the Diplomatic Times here in New York, and he just joined our Anchor family. So welcome to the press conference briefing room, Reynaldo. Good. Do you have any questions about today? Mario, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. This week at the Parliament in Ecuador, there's a decision to move ahead with this process against the former foreign minister of the country. Does she have any comment on this stage?
Yeah. We remain at our first statement that Mrs. Espinosa is not going to comment on internal events in the country. And you are right, there are some developments, and she has, of course, a lawyer, who is looking into the requests that were made. Thank you. Masood and then Gary. Masood, go ahead.
Thank you. Monica, does the PTA has any observation or any comments on the situation developing in Middle East where the Saudi Arabia is calling for attack by surgical strikes by United States in Iran? Does she have any opinion on that?
I think tension in the area doesn't benefit anyone, and Mrs. Espinosa has called before and continues to call for calm, and that events will be solved and sorted out in a peacefully and diplomatic manner. Okay, Gary, go ahead.
Thank you. Question for regarding Madam Espinosa's effort to bring more women in the peacekeeping process. There were some challenges because they encountered pushback was a word they used when you're trying to bring more women into the peacekeeping process. Do you have an update on her effort thus far, or any challenges that she's encountering to carry this out?
Sure. Mrs. Espinosa, as the president of the General Assembly, she supports, of course, more participation of women in peacekeeping operations, but not only, across the board, because she firmly believes that women do make a difference. And you are right. She has 7 priorities we do in this General Assembly session, and gender equality is actually the first priority topping this list, but of course we have 7 and they are equally important. So she can only support efforts to increase the participation of women in peacekeeping processes, but also across the board in the United Nations. We all know, for instance, that when women are taking part in conflict resolutions processes, peace has a chance to last 15 years longer than if women were not part of the board. So there are tremendous contribution that women can do and are doing, and the President of the General Assembly actually commends these efforts. We should do more than we are doing right now. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, anything else? If not, Mario, go ahead. Mario's from EFE, by the way, Gary. So
on this issue of the Venezuelan embassy in Washington, does the PGA have any comment, and has she been in touch at all with the Venezuelan representatives here on this matter? Thank you.
Yeah. We don't have a comment on the issue of the embassy that you just mentioned, but you are aware, I mean, the PGA has heard this morning reports on media reports, which we all heard as well, on possible talks in Norway. So she welcomes the reports of these talks and, any efforts that are being made right now to sort out the Venezuela crisis. This is a crucial step, and she also has been calling, we have been discussing that here for a long time, for a constructive dialogue. So she's actually welcoming the reports of talks in Norway in regard with Venezuela. Okay, so if you don't have anything else, I would say have a wonderful afternoon, and I see you tomorrow here. Thank you very much.